single physical characteristics. These can include features such as fingerprint, foot impression, facial and physical features, DNA, and other unique physical attributes. Physical identification is commonly used in various fields such as law enforcement, security, criminal investigation, and access control to verify the identity of individuals. It is a reliable method of identification as these physical characteristics are unique to each person's identity with a high degree of accuracy.
General rule for physical identification. Physical identification plays a vital role in various aspects of human activities, including security, law enforcement, access control, and information identification. Here are the key rules of physical identification. First is security and access control. Physical identification methods such as biometrics, including fingerprints, facial recognition, and iris scans, these are widely used for security purposes. They help restrict access to secure areas, buildings, and devices only to authorized individuals. For example, the fingerprint and facial recognition on our mobile phones, it restricts other person accessing our mobile phone without permission. In order to access the mobile phones, you need to register your fingerprint and facial recognition. Second one is law enforcement. Physical identification is crucial in law enforcement for identifying suspects, victims, and witnesses. It helps in solving crimes by linking individuals to criminal activities through fingerprints, DNA, and other physical attributes. For example, the crime scene, there is a footprint found that can be used to link person to the crime committed. If he or she really has an involvement in the crime scene. Third one is personal identification. Physical identification methods like ID cards, driver's license, and passports are used for personal identification. They serve as proof for identity in various settings, including travel, banking, and age verification for purchasing restricted items. For example, in registering our SIM cards, it requires valid ID, such as Philippine national ID, postal ID, driver's license, or any government-validated ID, serve as our proof of identity. In any case, this fill out information is not the same with your ID information, your request will be dismissed or your SIM will not be registered. Fourth one is healthcare. Physical identification is essential in healthcare settings. To accurately identify patients, track medical records, and ensure proper treatment. Medical ID, bracelets, and cards help healthcare providers access critical patient information quickly. 5 is border control and immigration. Physical identification is used in border control and immigration to verify the identity of travelers, prevent illegal entry, and ensure national security.
Number 6. Financial transactions. Physical identification methods such as signatures on checks, PIN codes, and security questions are used in financial transactions to prevent fraud and verify the identity of account holders. Number 7. Workplace security. Physical identification is used in the workplace for access control, time tracking, and ensuring only authorized personnel enter restricted areas. Number 8. Emergency response. Physical identification plays a role in emergency response situations by helping first responders identify individuals, contact next of kin, and provide appropriate medical care. Number 9. Education. Physical identification such as student IDs and used in educational institutions attendance tracking, library access, and campus security. Number 10, prevention of identity theft. Physical identification methods help prevent identity theft by requiring individuals to provide physical proof of their identity before accessing sensitive information or services. Overall, physical identification methods play a crucial role in ensuring security, verifying identities, preventing fraud, and facilitating various aspects of daily life and public safety.
Role of physical identification in criminal investigation. Physical identification plays a significant role in criminal investigations by providing crucial evidence and aiding in the identification of suspects. Here are several ways in which physical identification affects criminal investigations. Number 1. Linking suspects to crimes. Physical evidence such as fingerprints, DNA samples, footprints, and hair can link suspects to crime scene. By analyzing these physical identifiers, investigators can establish a connection between the perpetrator and the crime, helping in the identification and the prevention of suspects. Establishing modus operandi. Physical identification can help investigators understand how a criminal was committed. By examining physical evidence left at the scene, investigators can reconstruct the sequence of events, determine the methods used by the perpetrator, and gain insights into the modus operandi of the criminal. Number 2. Clearing innocent individuals. Physical identification can also clear innocent individuals by providing evidence that excludes them as suspects. For example, DNA evidence can exonerate individuals who were wrongfully accused or convicted of a crime by providing their innocence through scientific analysis. Number 4. Supporting prosecution. Physical identification evidence, such as fingerprints, DNA profiles, and other biometric data, can be presented in court to support prosecution efforts. This evidence can help establish a strong case against the accused and increase the chances of successful conviction. Number 5. Crime scene reconstruction. Physical identification enables investigators to reconstruct the crime scene accurately. By analyzing physical evidence, investigators can piece together what transpired during the crime, identify key elements of the incident, and gather information crucial for solving the case. Number 6. Enhancing forensic investigations. Physical investigation methods, such as fingerprint analysis and DNA profiling, have revolutionized forensic investigations. These techniques provide valuable information that can assist in solving complex cases, identifying unknown suspects, and closing cases. In conclusion, physical identification plays a vital role in criminal investigation by providing essential evidence, linking suspects to crimes, supporting prosecution efforts, and helping investigators understand the details of criminal incidents. The use of physical identification methods has significantly contributed to the advancement of forensic science and the successful resolution of criminal cases.
Function of physical identification. Physical identification refers to the process of identifying individuals based on their physical characteristics. This can include various biometric identifiers such as fingerprints, facial features, iris patterns, and DNA. The main function of physical identification is to establish a unique and reliable way to verify a person's identity. This is crucial for security purposes, access control, law enforcement, border control, and various other applications where accurate identification is essential. By using physical characteristics that are unique to each individual, physical identification systems provide a highly secure method of identification and verification.
We have now the glass fracture sample, and we're going to analyze each cracks and holes. So, we're going to determine which of these two projectiles became first. So, we have the radial cracks and concentric cracks. Radial cracks known as the primary fracture. concentric cracks known as secondary fracture because it appears after the radial crack. Radial crack is spread away from the hole, while the concentric cracks forming an imperfect circle beside the hole, as you can see here in the two projectiles. So this side, as we can see the entrance point of the projectile, and in the reverse side is the exit hole. By determining which first projectile comes, we must observe the radial cracks. In this projectile, the radial cracks is complicated, or there are many radial cracks you can observe. And in this projectile, the radial crack is longer, spread away from the hole, and it is simpler than the other one. So based from our observation, based from these two projectiles, the first projectile comes is this hole. This is the first projectile. Why? Because the radial crack is longer and the radial crack of the second one is stopped by the first one. So that's the characteristics in determining which projectile comes first based from the radial cracks. And as you can see, in this fracture, we can observe that there is a lot of damage or a lot of cracks differ from the first one. So, in determining in conclusion, determining the first projectile comes from the other projectile is based from the simplest radial cracks and the characteristics of the radial cracks formed, because according to the research and according to some experts, they state that the first projectile comes, it stops the radial crack of the second projectile.
Macro etching tests for identifying tampered chassis numbers and engine numbers. Macro etching is a method used to examine large regions of a specimen surface or fractured section with the naked eye or under low magnification. This technique can be applied to identify if the chassis numbers and engine numbers of a vehicle have been tampered with. In this video, we will discuss how the macro etching test is conducted using HCl and how it helps in comparing the results with the original vehicle documentation to determine if tampering has occurred. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today, we will explain how the macro etching test conducted using HCl to identify if the chassis numbers and the engine numbers of a vehicle have been tampered with. This test is crucial in detecting any fraudulent activities related to vehicle identification. To begin, we need to locate the chassis numbers and engine numbers. Second, ensure that the surface is clean and free from any dirt or debris that could interfere with the test. We will clean the chassis number using wet wipes and a brush. Once clean, we will wait for it to dry completely. After the chassis numbers and engine numbers is dry, we will proceed with the next step. We will use the HCl to create an impression of the chassis number and the engine number. The HCl is placed on top of the chassis number and the engine number, and gentle pressure is applied, and we rub it so the HCl will transfer to the engine number or in the chassis number. After applying the HCl, we carefully leave it using Scotch tape. This will reveal the impression of the chassis number and the engine number that was transferred onto the Scotch tape.
Now comes the critical part. We will compare the result of the macro etching test, which is the impression of a chassis number and engine number that is transferred to our Scotch tape. With the original vehicle documentation, such as official receipt and certificate of registration or ORCR, by comparing the two, we can determine if the chassis number and the engine number has been tampered with. If the number match, it indicates that the chassis number is genuinely and has not been altered. When examining the macro etching results, there are several key characteristics we look for. One of the first things we observe is the font size and font used in the numbers. Original numbers are typically engraved using a specific font style which may vary depending on the manufacturer and vehicle model. By comparing the font and each number with the known font used by the manufacturer, we can determine if there are any discrepancies. Tampered numbers may exhibit variation of font style, such as uneven or inconsistent letter shapes, indicating possible alteration. Another important characteristics to consider is the distance and spacing between the letters and the numbers. Original numbers are typically even spaced and aligned. Tampering may result in irregular spacing, misalignment, or inconsistent distance between the characters. One crucial aspect we examine is the presence of original engraving beneath the tampered numbers. When numbers are tampered with, perpetrators may attempt to remove or alter the original engraving. However, careful macro etching can often reveal traces of the original numbers beneath the tampered layer. In this case, we observe that the chassis and engine number is not tampered because it does not present a sign of alteration or tampering. And upon measuring each font and distance, we determine that every font and distance, the font size and distance of the number is equal. Using the elite typewriter, it has a width of 30. Then using traditional picas, the length is 25. And using the picas, it has 15. Using inches, the engine number gives 2.4. Then let's go to the chassis number. The same measurement. In elite typewriter, we have 29. And in traditional picas, we have 33. In picas, 20. And using inches, it appears 3.3. Macro etching test using HEL is a valuable tool in identifying if the chassis and engine number of a vehicle have been tampered with. It provides a non-destructive method to obtain an impression of the number for comparison with the original documentation. This test helps in ensuring the integrity of vehicle identification and preventing fraudulent activities. Macro etching is a forensic technique used to examine the surface of a specimen, such as chassis and engine numbers, to determine if they have been tampered with. We will explore how macro etching result can help identify tampered numbers by observing characteristics such as font, distance, spacing between letters and numbers, and the presence of original engraving. Let's proceed to the actual comparison of the numbers. We have here the original copy of the engine number. Then based from the original copy, the engine number, we have capital letter E, 3, capital letter R, 2, capital letter E, dash 2846277. And based from our macro etching test, it appears the same with with our result. We have capital E, 3, capital R, 2, capital E, dash 2846277, has the same size, font size, the same distance, and it is arranged very aligned. Then, now we have the chassis number. Based from the original certificate of registration, the chassis number is PAOSE 9810L0551852, and the same with our result. We have PAOSE 9810L0551852. The same result with engine number, it has the same distance, the same font number, and aligned. And that is the result of our macro etching test.
Foot impression analysis or moulage in crime scene investigation. A foot impression left at a crime scene can provide a valuable evidence in identifying the suspect and understanding their walking characteristics. Footwear impression can reveal the unique features of shoe sole, such as distinct patterns, wear of patterns, rip-off marks, and cuts. By comparing these characteristics with the moulage from the foot impression left in the crime scene and the shoe of the suspect, we can connect the evidence and solve the crime. Foot impressions are like a signature left behind by the suspect. They can provide a crucial information about the suspect's walking style, shoe size, and even their gender. The size and shape of the foot impression can help us narrow down the pool of potential suspects. The walking characteristics exhibited in a foot impression can be quite revealing. Factors such as the pressure distribution, stride length, and gait pattern can indicate the suspect's walking speed, posture, and body weight. By studying these characteristics, we can create a profile of the suspect's walking style. To determine the connection between the foot impression and the suspect, we create a moulage, a three-dimensional replica of the suspect's shoe sole. The moulage captures the unique features of the shoe, including spikes, distinct patterns, wear-off patterns, riff-off marks, and cuts. Through meticulous examination, we compare the characteristic of the foot impression with the moulage. The presence of the specific features, such as matching the spike patterns, distinct wear-off patterns, or unique rip-off marks, can help establish a link between suspect's shoes and the crime scene. By connecting the foot impression to the suspect's shoe and analyzing the walking characteristics, we can establish a strong link between the suspect and the crime scene. This evidence can be presented in court to support the identification of the suspect and their involvement in the crime.
In our investigation, we have determined that the suspect who left this foot impression is likely an ROTC officer, cadet, or cadet. By observing and examining the unique characteristics of the foot impression, we have identified a spike pattern that is commonly associated with combat boots worn by ROTC personnel. One of the key characteristics we observe in this foot impression is the presence of distinct spike patterns. Combat shoes commonly worn by ROTC officer, cadets, or cadets often feature spikes on the sole. These spikes provide traction and stability during military training exercises. Based on the presence of the spike pattern in the foot impression, we have determined that the suspect is likely an ROTC officer. This evidence provides valuable insight into the characteristics and background of the suspect. By focusing our investigation on the specific group, we can narrow down our search and bring us closer to solving of the crime. Now we need to determine and compare the known and unknown during our investigation. We have the unknown, our impressions are called moulage, and this is the unknown. And we have the known, the picture of the combat shoes. In our moulage, our foot impression analysis, we have determined cut and wear, and determined the length and width. In our investigation, we have determined the length and width. The length is about 28.5 centimeters. And the width, it has three characteristics or three identification. The upper sole, midsole, and the lower sole. Here in upper sole, the width is about 10 centimeters. In the midsole or middle sole, the width is 9 centimeters. And in the lower sole, the width is 7.5 centimeters. So let's discuss what is the cut and wear we found. First, in the upper part sole of the combat shoes, we found a small cut on the edge of the sole. This indicates that the combat shoes, or our known and our unknown, has the same distinct patterns. Another is the wear. In this part of the sole of the combat shoes, we can observe the wear pattern. So the patterns in the combat shoes is seen in this part, but in this part is seemingly unseen or semi-seen lang. In this third, we discovered it has something cracked in the combat shoes. And in the moulage, or in our foot impression analysis, we found, or we have the same patterns. The crack is from here to this edge. It is edge to edge of the sole of the combat shoes. The next is in the other edge, or in the right side of the sole of the combat shoes. It has a cut in this side, which seems to be like a pyramid or like a triangle. Next is in this side. In this part of the sole of the combat shoes, we observe that one spike is missing, the same with our known picture. So we can determine, in that part, we can determine that this known can be the original form of original shoes left who left the impression in the crime scene. Next, in this lower part of the combat shoes, we have this part. It seems the cut in this part the same with the first part. It forms like a pyramid or like a triangle. And in the middle part, we have seen or observed also a missing part, another missing part of the spike of the combat shoes. And this part, the same with the two earlier, it has also the same cut, like a pyramid or something like a triangle. And for the last cut pattern or distinct pattern, it has the 1/4 part of this spike is cut going to the edge of the combat shoes. So in that, we can conclude that this unknown or our mulaj, we can conclude that these combat shoes or our is the original shoes who left the pattern in the crime scene. So that's the analysis of our foot impression.